Hari Om, everybody. We have started the 20-point program which Bhagwan has given and called it as Jnanam. At one level, it is Tattva Jnan, it is realization of the self, if you take it from the highest standpoint. But from a lower standpoint, what it means is that you need these virtues to become qualified to gain that knowledge. So we are quickly taking a look at both standpoints. So there is a complete understanding, not just a partial understanding. Because if you read just the verses, they're just virtues. So only a virtue, how does that become jnanam? That also we sort of should understand. Amanitvam, I told you, at a lower level, it is pride or ego. So taking pride in, in anything at all, in kshetra. All the pride is taken in kshetra. Kshetrajna never takes any pride. So whatever pride that we take, we need to reduce that with the thought that somebody else has helped us in this. God, guru, teacher, mother, father, anything. At a higher level, mana is measuring. So when I limit myself, when I measure myself by this body, mind, and intellect, it is mana. And becoming a mana is disidentifying with the body, mind, intellect equipment. Once I disidentify with the matter equipments, I am the pure self. Adamba, pretentiousness. So when we pretend to be something which we are not, it is not a good thing to pretend. At a higher level, we are already pretending to be the body, mind, and intellect. And then on top of that, then we are pretending other things. So either at least start practicing not pretending at a lower level, and then someday we might stop even pretending to be the body, mind, and intellect, which becomes then Tattva Jnana. Ahimsa, not hurting anybody at any level, body, speech, and mind. So at the level of the mind, which is the highest, not even thinking ill of anybody at all, which will be an indication of a highly, highly purified mind. As soon as the mind is that purified, Kshanti, I told you, forgiveness, if it is purified to a level where you don't even think somebody else has made a mistake, you are at the level of the pure consciousness. So that's where ahimsa works. Kshanti, forgiveness. I told you the highest level of forgiveness is to not even think that the other person has made a mistake. But at least let's begin by forgiving and forgetting. Not forgiving, but not, and forgive but not forget, or not forgive at all. And the reason to forgive is for our own peace of mind. So when we come to know that these virtues are meant for our own sake, we will be more inclined to do them. When we are told that this is for my good, then I'm more inclined to do it. Okay, so even if we don't have forgiveness at the highest level, just let's do it for the peace of our mind. That is also arjavam, straightforwardness, no manipulation. We must be very straightforward in our dealings. There should be purity of intention. And when we are straightforward, like Arjun, not any kind of ulterior motives in our behaviors. Acharya Upasanam, very, very important, because if we do Acharya Upasanam, the first line the Acharya is already demonstrating, Chi Dhatu, he has collected. Acharya is one who has collected all his experiences, his knowledge, and demonstrates it in his achara, in his behavior. And therefore he becomes Acharya, and Upasanam is sitting near. Physical sitting near is one thing, but what is meant more is being attuned with the mind. So as his mind thinks, as his body behaves, if we can think and behave like that, then it is Acharya Upasanam. And the Acharya will always be demonstrating the first line, Amanitvam, Adambitvam, Ahimsa, Kshanti, and Arjamam. So when we are copying him, imitating him, then we will also become like that. Shaucham, purity. External, very, very easy, soap and shampoo. Internal, purity of mind, which is absence of likes and dislikes, and then purity of intention. that is necessary. Stairyam, steadfastness on the path. Any path. Even in the material world, we need steadfastness. We pick a subject, then we need to stay with that subject. I've seen children, they've gone through, one whole this thing, and then they're like, no, now I don't want this. Then I know one kid, he spoke to, in my house it happened, therefore I remember, he was in some other field. Then he spoke to another friend of ours who was in agriculture, and he suddenly got interested in it. So he went into the food sciences. He started working for Nestle chocolates, and then he said he thought he wanted to become a doctor. So then ultimately now he's a doctor in the US. But steadfastness is required, especially on the spiritual path. That's why we have been given the example that if you're digging for water, stay at one place. If you dig here and then dig there and then dig there. So when people are having multiple gurus and multiple, paths following, there can be confusion. Any one path, pick a path and stay there. Be steadfast. That'll help. That is better than doing little of many things. It's, so today this one said, Guru said this, that Guru said this, that Guru said. So if when you go on, it disturbs the mind. So steadfastness is very important, and steadfastness in the firm abidance, Aham Brahmasmi. That is the maximum grade. Atma Vinigra, there was a little bit of discussion on this. So what I did was I went and listened to the lecture of last week, and I referred to Tattva Bodh because Tattva Bodh was also referred to. I reversed the words. First of all, that was, I reversed it. Not that I didn't know, but while saying. So Atma Vinigra, I'm going to explain it properly today. Atma here is body, and Vinigra is control. Control of the body means control of the senses. There are two things here, Dhamma and Shama. Dhamma is control of the sense organs. It is not control of the mind. And Tattva Bodh also I refer to. So Tattva Bodh, this is the book that I have by commentary by Swami Tejomayananji, page 18, Dhamma. Dhamma kaha. What is Dhamma is the question. It is the control of the external sense organs such as the eyes, etc. So in chapter 16, the word Dhamma comes, and there also Gurudev's commentary says it is the control of the senses. So Dhamma is the control of the senses. It is not a control of the mind. And the way Dhamma is defined, the definition of Dhamma is the ability to not allow the external sense objects to enter the mind. That is Dhamma. And Shama is the control of the mind. And the definition of Shama is the ability to not allow the mind to go out. Between Dhamma and Shama, Shama is more important because Dhamma is, if the eyes are open, the senses are actually cursed to go outwards. So if the eyes are open, ears are open, they are going to see color and form. They are going to hear the sounds. They're going to smell whatever smell is there. Fragrance is there, okay, and the skin is there. If it touches something, it is going to feel soft, hard, coarse, whatever. So to not allow the sense objects to come in sometimes can be difficult. If you can do it at that level, that means whatever you see, what is the meaning of not allowing that sense object to come in? Means you see something, and seeing includes hearing, all perceive. So when you perceive something, it must not create any wave in your mind. The mind should remain at an equal key. That is what is meant by not. Because now I'm seeing this computer. Am I getting too excited about seeing this? Am I getting, or depressed? No, so the computer is not really having, so even though I am seeing the computer in front of my face, it is not entering me because it is not affecting my mind. Now, when the objects are not there, so the sense organs can only when they come in contact with the object, when there is light, otherwise without light, the eyes are no good. So if there was a dark room, I can't see anything. But the mind doesn't need light and all that. The mind, without the object being there, the mind can run out to the object. So control of the mind is more important because the object may or may not be there physically present. So there's no question of that object entering, but the mind can definitely run out whether the object is there or not, whether it is nighttime or daytime, whether it is daylight or whether there is space or you're in a vacuum. Because if you're in a vacuum, you won't be able to hear. If your mouth is dry, you won't be able to taste, but your mind will be able to taste, because the mind is more powerful. So Shama is more important, not letting the mind go out, which means again that the mind should not be affected by the presence and absence of objects outside as well as the objects inside. And objects inside means thoughts. So when a thought comes in my mind, am I getting disturbed? Am I getting agitated? Am I getting overly excited? That must not happen. That is what is meant by Atma Vinigraha. So Dhamma and Shama, please understand. So that is with that. And then Bhagavan went on to say, Indriya Artheshu Vairagyam. Vairagya, dispassion towards the Artha here means objects. So the objects of the senses means there are only 5, I told you: color, form, Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa, Gandha. Only 5 objects are there. Complete Vairagya towards them. Dispassion is not hatred. It is not that you turn away from those objects, but it is that those objects do not affect you in any way. How do I develop Vairagya? Is to begin with, suppression is the way. You suppress. When you suppress for a while, you will come to know that, yeah, I suppressed, I didn't get this, but I'm fine. I lived, I didn't die without that object, without the sound, without the music. Nothing happened to me. So when you suppress in the beginning, you will discover your own potential. The discovery of that potential, that nothing happens to me if this thing is not there. Because at one point I thought, I'm going to die if I don't get this. How can I live without this, I think. And then you suppress in the beginning. That will lead to sublimation. That is maturity. Sublimation will be when you think, oh, okay, this, fine. It's not there, it's fine. It's there, fine. It is not a hatred. So when there is the thing, yes, if it is easily available, fine, go ahead and enjoy. Okay, that is, Vedanta is not telling you. What Vedanta is telling us is that don't think, where is the mistake? You have to understand where the mistake is. How do you correct a mistake before you know what the position of the mistake is? The mistake is considering that my life is nothing without this object, person, situation. That is the thought is the mistake. Person, object, and situation may not be there, but the thought is in my mind that I will be unable to live if I don't get this object. What will happen to me if something happens to this person? What will happen to me? That thought must not be there. We must not think that my happiness is dependent on that. That is what Gurudev has said. Don't put the key of your happiness in somebody else's pocket. That is what we have done. We have put it in Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa, Gandha. If I can't hear my kind of music, I'm unhappy. If I don't get proper sunshine, I'm unhappy. If this person is not there, I'm unhappy. Then I will be always unhappy because something or the other will be missing. That is Vairagya. To understand, to discriminate that the happiness is not there. It is within me. And I have a choice. I choose to be happy no matter what. That standpoint a spiritual seeker must have. That is Vairagya. So it is not being happy. It is not hating something. It is not turning away. Suppose a person might come whom you don't like. Vairagya is not to turn away from that person. That's not Vairagya. That is hatred. So Vairagya is going beyond likes and dislikes. The more purified the mind will be, the more dispassionate will you become. because it's going beyond likes and dislikes. Purity of mind is reduction of likes and dislikes to a point where there are no likes and dislikes. So whether a person comes, likes for that I like, situation comes that I like, object comes that I like or I don't like, it doesn't matter. That is vairagya. So indriya artheshu vairagyam. At the highest level, this vairagya towards kshetra will take you to the supreme reality. Anahankara. Aham karoti iti ahankara. The association of aham with any action is ahankara. Ana, no, negative. So no identification with anything, with whatever that I do, I say, I think. Disidentification, that is anahankara. The moment you disidentify from matter equipments, what remains is the pure consciousness. It is not like an onion where you peel and nothing remains. It is like, that's why munja grass, or a more common example is banana. You peel a banana, there is a sweet flesh inside. Or munja grass is the example that is given by the scriptures. So you peel the outer layer and inside there is a sweet, this thing. It's onion is you peel and nothing will remain in your hands. You'll go on peeling and there'll be nothing. So this peeling, this disidentification is not like the onion, it is like the munja grass. So anahankara is, that is how it will read. Janma, birth, mrityu, death, jara, old age, vyadhi, diseases, there is adi and vyadhi, diseases of the mind, diseases of the body. Dukkha, dosha, anudarshanam. So dosha, defect, understand the defects in birth. Birth we consider as very, very happy occasion. But I told you, the fetus has to undergo a lot of pain while in the womb. This is Sant Ramdas has said this, and Shukadev is the perfect example. He didn't want to come out of his mother's womb. But we don't remember. We remember, in the fetus remembers, but because of the force of the vasanas, it's pushed out of the mother's womb. The minute it is pushed out, Maya engulfs it. And it forgets, the fetus forgets all the sorrows, that all the pain, and then gets entangled in this world. Understand this. This is from the scriptures, because there is no proof. The proof we can give is only Shukadev, or if we have faith in the scriptures. So when we read texts by Samarth Ramdas, or I'm sure there are other masters who have said the same thing. I mean, Bhagavad Gita, Bhagwan is saying it, that in Janma, understand the defect of birth. So don't do anything which will create another birth for yourself. This is the idea. Mrityu, everybody is scared. The fear of death only is scaring people. Actual death, whether it is scary or not, I don't know. But the fear of death is so much. We have seen that now in the last 2 years. People are afraid. People are paranoid, literally, right? So in that, in fear, there is agitation of the mind. So that fearlessness has to come. One way is to understand that there is nothing like death. There is nothing like death, because matter is getting recycled and the soul cannot be touched. The soul cannot die. So if you can really understand that, discriminate that, get firm abidance in that, at least our own death should not be scary. It is fearful. We fear the death of our near and dear ones. But people are there who are fearing their own death. Old age, now so many people are now, old age is scary, Jaya, old age is scary, old age is scary. Because what is happening is, people are suddenly, just yesterday, I was sitting in that Upanayanam and I got a text. My friend's cousin, he was the coach of some very athletic, very healthy. That's why I was texting her right away. He coached some, I don't know, football, something in India, Bombay. It was very hot. He was going to enter his car, fell down, he died. Just. And the reason they said is heat stroke. And his wife is a gym fitness, like she runs the gyms. At the same time that he had the heat stroke, on Facebook, she was putting a message saying, it is very hot in Bombay, keep yourself very hydrated, you could get a heat stroke. At the same time, the husband. So I wrote to her, Bhaja Govindam, life is like a dewdrop on the leaf, lotus leaf, right? And she was very upset because that was her favorite cousin, not very old. So death is happening to 90 plus people. We say, okay, but death is happening to younger people too, right? So we need to have that understanding. Otherwise it is this thing. So dukkha dosha, like understand the sorrows in this. And if you get birth, you are going to die. The one who is born cannot escape death. There's no way. Old age, so people, there is a book called Aging Gracefully. So we should read that. Guruji's very nice book. But of course, when you are already old, because it is aging gracefully, so that book has to be read by younger people. Old people, we have already aged. So even at this stage, we can read it. I have read it. I've got the book. And, then we'll know how to spend our life, how to age gracefully. Guruji has given there. When you age gracefully, there is not that much fear. That is the whole idea. So when you have the understanding, when you have this knowledge, that is what Bhagavan Shankaracharya has always said. The least that this knowledge will do for you is to reduce fear. Even if we can reduce fear to a certain extent, know that the knowledge has made some effect on us. And we will continue that with that thread in our next life. Okay, so this is what Anu Darshanam, Anu follow. So Darshanam, see the defects in these things, see the defects. And try not to create a blueprint for yourself. Why should I see the defects? My life is all happy, happy, happy. So have faith in the scriptures. If the scriptures are saying, if Bhagavad Gita is saying, if Bhagwan is saying, obviously there is, that's what even Lord Buddha has said, Sarvam Kshanikam Kshanikam Sarvam Dukkham Dukkham. He didn't say partially there is Sukham and partial Dukkha. He didn't say that. And chapter 6, Bhagwan says, we say my life is happy, happy, happy. He said every happiness, there is, in the womb of happiness, there is sorrow. In the womb of happiness, there is sorrow. So understand this. And then people think that Vedanta is very pessimistic. It's not pessimistic. It is realistic. This is the fact. This is a fact. It's not pessimism. When you know the facts, you are fully aware of the facts, you can live life fully and happily. Happy. If you know that you are the key to your own happiness, will you not be always happy? That's why Ishwanand Ji is recommending Sulabh Vedanta. And I would pick that over Kaivalya Upanishad. Sulabh Vedanta will be a good, much better topic for Yajna. Anyway, that is what this is. Next. Asaktirana Bhishwangaha Putradara Grahadishu Nityam cha Samachittatvam Ishtanishtopapatishu. Non-attachment, non-identification of self with son, wife, home, and the rest, and constant even-mindedness on the attainment of the desirable and the undesirable. Asakti, sakti, attachment. Asakti is non-attachment. Asakti, when you say asakti is attachment. But this is it's not So is a negative prefix, sakti attachment, asakti non-attachment. So attachment and love, there's a huge difference. What we think is love is generally attachment. Attachment binds. It is attached. If you're attached, you will not release that person or the object because you think that you cannot live without that person. You are not happy if this person goes away. This is what happens when there are, only child, and when that child wants to go out of town, the parents are not allowing. And that is sakti, that is attachment. If there is real love, if the love is true, unconditional love. True love is only unconditional love. Then you need to release that child. You need to release it. In long time back, in a soap opera, I had heard of Vedanta. I wasn't even into Vedanta. There was a soap opera called All My Children. And Kamal, we used to live with Kamal Deshpande and her husband, in between. We didn't have a house, Girish and I. And she was very fond of this, All My Children. And so she would watch, and I was also sitting there and watching. One of the characters said, love has to be like holding a ripe banana in your hand like this. So the banana is free to go whenever, wherever. Attachment is when you hold the banana like this. You're squashing the banana, so it has no freedom. That is attachment. And what we think is love is actually attachment. We are not letting our children go. They want to go somewhere. Their destiny will take care. But we say, no. I have a friend. She won't. I sometimes suspect whether she'll even allow the daughter to get married, because she already has said that you get married, you're going to stay here. Only child, only daughter. There's in my Marathi circles. So this asakti, this sakti must not be there. Must not be there. There has to be freedom given. And you have to have the faith that their destiny will take care of it. And what will help is let them go. My daughter also went at 18. My daughter was 18 when she left home. And I told her, I said, one thing is you have to get admission in UBC and be paid money, $100, I remember, to keep that seat, because McGill had not given her admission. I said, you can't just leave home without admission somewhere in some university. Not that I'm just leaving home and I'll go and do whatever I want. No, there has to be an admission there. And they were delayed. And when the admission came, I said, yeah, okay, now you go. And I'm going to be phoning you every week. And I'm going to give you my answering machine. So you're going to keep that. So if their destiny is meant to be, it will happen. Suppose if she was not supposed to get admission in McGill, she was not supposed to go, she would not get admission. Then I know UBC is there to fall back. I said, fallback has to be there. UBC, you have to take admission, you have to apply in UBC, apply in McGill, and then you get UBC. UBC immediately she got accepted. I said, no, hold on to that one. Because you can't be free, like after grade 12, nothing to do, no admission here, no admission there. That is not a choice. And then I said, don't come back unsuccessful. That's all I told her. I said, yeah, you want to leave home. You think that is your happiness is there. I'm happy for you. I'm happy in your happiness. So two things. Don't tell me that you're unhappy, and do not come back unsuccessful. And I let her go. Now what? Now it's my daughter only. Where else? She's with me. So what happens is, in attachment, we don't think of the happiness of the other person. We think of our happiness. That is attachment. When you start thinking of the happiness of the other person, it is love. If you can say that, oh, this person will be happy there. That is what at least this person is telling me. Let her try. Let him try. Then you let go. Otherwise you'll hold on. And that'll be, attachment will always give misery. Attachment can never give happiness. It'll end in misery only. That's why asakti has to be there. And asakti to all three. Objects, persons, situations. Okay, every time. Abhishwangaha is thinking the self to be somebody else. And I'll give you an example. I have another friend, long time back this happened. So her son had exams. And that happened first. Then I read this, then I connected. I said, okay. And she said to me, she said, I'm going to India. I said, why? She goes, my son has got exams. I'm so stressed. And to relieve my stress, I'm going to India. But that time also I thought, shouldn't you stay here and maybe help your son in the studies, cook for him, be there? She said, no. I can't see this. I can't stand the stress. And she left. She actually went to India. That is a bit this, because when you think that actually the exam is of the son, so why are you getting stressed? And if you are getting stressed, what you need to do is help that child in whatever way you can. Whatever way you can, you help. You sacrifice something. When my son was in grade 7, coming out of primary school and going into secondary school, in this David Thompson, in the school that they were supposed to go, there was an advanced math program. Okay. And only 35 students would be selected for that program. And there was a Dr. Chan, who was a very, very good mathematician, who was running that program. But it was only for the elite students. And Neil said to me, Mom, I would like to go in there. So what I did was I went and spoke to his grade 7 teacher, because I didn't know where else to go and what to do. So I asked his grade 7 teacher, what can I do to help my son? And there's an exam. You have to pass that exam, then you get selected. So this grade 7 teacher told me that if you can find a grade 8 book from somewhere, math book, and get him to solve that entire book before he goes for the exam. And I thought, where? Because books were always returned after the year. And I thought, what do I do? But then this is my nature. So I went to work and I told all my friends around me who are working, my colleagues, my co-workers, I said, this is what's happening. I'm looking for a grade 8 math book. My son is in grade 7. And lo and behold, one friend of mine, and she's still my friend, Pauline, she said, you know what, Jaya, my daughter, she kept all her grade 8 books. I said, really? She goes, yeah, she has grade 8 math book. I said, can you please give it to me for 1 month and then I'll return it to you? She goes, doesn't matter, I'll give it to you. See, God helps. So I got the book. Then at the same time, my husband wanted to go buy a car. I said, no buying car, no nothing. Every evening, I made him sit at the dining table. I sat myself there and I made my husband sit, because if he has any difficulty, I can't help. Math, I can't help. I need my husband. I said, you can't go down and watch TV. You can't go and shop for a car. You can't do anything. This is now, and Neil, I'm sitting here and now you solve. So whatever number, every day, one lesson. And 3 of I still remember at the dining table. I said, no, solve. You want to get into the advanced math program? You have to do this. This is what your teacher has told me. And he passed. He passed the exam. He got into the advanced math, right? So not that, oh, now I'm so stressed. If you're stressed, you can't help. You need to have an objective mind. You need to think, what can I do to help my child? So I got the book and I made my husband sit. And I said, no car, no shopping till he finishes his. Then we went in, because buying a car was no big deal, SUV. So we went and bought it. That is this anabhiju. You should not be, if you are totally stressed out because you can't help that person. How can you help? Because your mind is completely under stress. You will not be able to think straight. So whatever you can do to help. So this is what it said. Non-identification of self with what? Putra, putri also. Daughter, son. Dara, spouse. Graha, house. So when there is any kind of stressful situation with these things, you also getting stressed is not going to help. So remain free of that stress, but try to, not that you remain free and you run away. Don't run away to India just because you've got a place to go and hide, but stay there and help that person. So this is what it is. With people. Son, you can say with all people, your family, full family. Nityam cha samachittatvam, chitta, mind, sama, equanimous, sukha dukkhe same krutva. Bhagavan said in chapter 2, way back in chapter 2, he told Arjun, sukha dukkhe same krutva, labha labho, jaya jayo. So whether it is sukha dukkha, whether there is labha, gain or loss, where there is jaya, victory, or defeat, sama. Sama. So the mind has to, that's why that time also I told you, what does it mean make sukha and dukkha sama? Sukha is sukha, dukkha is dukkha. It is very different. Joy is very different. Sorrow is very different. What do you mean make? No, 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 no. They are not same. But your reaction to both of them has to be exactly same. And Gurudev's very beautiful example. You open the door, Mr. Happiness is standing. You say, come on in, have a cup of tea. You open the door, Miss Sorrow is standing. Come on in, have a cup of tea plus samosa. For Miss Sorrow, even samosa. Welcome it. Because it is going to come. Because the birth has happened because of 50% punya, 50% papa. So how can you avoid either one? You can't. So ishta, anishta, upapattishu. Ishta, that which I like. Anishta, that which I don't like. I like joy, I don't like sorrow. Simple math, right? I like this, I don't like that. But they will both come. You can't avoid. You have taken birth, they will both. If you want to avoid that, don't take birth. Don't take birth. Understand the defects in birth and work towards not getting birth again. That's the idea. So here it says, Ishta Anishta will come. That's why in Sthita Prajna Lakshana, we say whatever comes, the Sthita Prajna remains. That's why Sthita Prajna, his intellect is completely steadfast. It is always steadfast in no matter what comes. There is conducive situations, there is non-conducive situations, there is joy, there is sorrow, there is all pairs of opposites, because the world is nothing but a pair of opposites. So when there is snow, there will be sunshine one day. When there is rain, there will be dry. This will keep on. The matras sparshastu kaunteya, Bhagavan already said that these agama paina nityaha, they come and they go. You remain steadfast. You don't get carried away with them. Don't get overly excited. Don't get overly dejected. So the samachittatvam, very important. It will come because of purity of mind. Samachittatvam will come when the mind gets more and more pure. You will see this samachittatva in Acharya. How Acharya is, he's equanimous. Equanimity, samachittatvam is, what is he said? Even-mindedness, equanimity on the attainment of the desirable and the ishta, desirable. Anishta, undesirable. And both are going to come. You cannot have, I want only desirable things to come to me. Yes, that is what we think, but that is not happening. It doesn't happen. It can't happen. Okay? All right? Okay. Now, last one. Mai chananya yogena bhaktiravyabicharini vivikta desha sevitvam aratirjana sausadi. Unswerving devotion unto me by the yoga of non-separation, resort to solitary places, distaste for the society of men. We have to understand this distaste part very clearly. Mai cha ananya yogena. Ananya yoga, we heard this word in chapter 12. Ananya means exclusive. A devotee, he only depends on God alone. He does not depend on his own intelligence. People think, I'm so intelligent, I'll be able to do it. I'm rich, I can set up a business. I am this, I can do it. There is faith in their own ability, in their own riches, prosperity, health. I'm so healthy, I'm so strong, I can do this. That is not Ananya. What Bhagavan is saying, you have all that, but you have to remember, in chapter 18 it will come, Bhagavan says in chapter 18, there are 5 things that are very essential to perform an action. And the 5th thing, he says, is my grace. So you may have the other 4, okay? But if the grace is not there, therefore the thumb represents jnana, thumb represents the supreme reality. In our finger, see, we can only grasp if the thumb is there. Anyone, suppose if this finger is not there, person can function without any one of the fingers not being there, or sometimes even all 4 fingers not being there is okay, because the thumb can grasp. Thumb is the most important in the 5 fingers. Therefore, it represents the supreme reality. Okay, so there he says you need body, karma, four things he will say. You need the knowledge, you need the materials to do action. It's not just that action can come, but finally he says you need my grace. That recognition that grace is required is ananya. It's like Draupadi doing this ultimately. First, she went and talked to everybody, right? In the Draupadi Vastraharan, she went and talked to the king, and all the people were sitting there. She went and begged them to help her. Then she started holding the sari herself, like this, it is said. Ultimately, she came to this. She was holding the sari like this. And it was Dushasan. He was so strong. Finally, she let go. She said, Krishna, that's it. And what happened? Bhagwan came. This is Ananya, where your entire faith is in God and God alone. So this is what he's saying. Ananya Bhakti Yoga you should do. Ananya Yoga, join with me exclusively. We want the world, and okay, Bhagwan also. That's why we have only 1 hour in the satsang. Only, okay, I've done that much. I've done my duty. It is not like that. This is why in me. Have your faith in me. Put your faith in me. Do we at a very ordinary level? See, we think that we know everything. Do we? We don't even know what is going to happen in the next moment to our life. In the morning we will get up. We may not remember anything from yesterday. We don't. We think that, but we don't. Bhagwan knows. Ishvara knows, because he's sarvadnya. So he knows. So have faith in him. He sees the big picture. So when small little difficulties come in our life, understand that Bhagwan has given them to test my own ability. Let me face this challenge, and then it will give me the confidence that, oh, I was able to face this challenge. So if something bigger comes, I'll be able to face that too. Ananya Bhakti Yoga. Bhakti avyabhicharini. Vyabhicharini is a shifting bhakti. Today, so we have a beautiful story of the shifting bhakti. There was a Hanuman Bhakta, and he always prayed to Lord Hanuman. And he prayed, his prayer was what? In Gurudev's words, most prayers are begging. I want this, I want that, I want that. Prayer, definition of prayer is to only think of the Lord with love. That's it. That is a definite. So when we light the lamp, we say, Bhagwan, and of course, everybody, now I'm praying, please let the war stop. COVID, please take it back. These are things I've been praying for the last 2 years. And now Ukraine war started, now I've changed. Okay, COVID is under control now. Please give Putin this thing. So that way I'm praying anyways. So this guy who was a great bhakta of Hanumanji, he prayed and prayed, and then after a while he thought, what is this? Nothing I'm getting. I've prayed so much, and Hanumanji has not given me anything. And then the thought came to him, after all, this Hanumanji is only a servant. Why am I praying to servant? I should pray to the master only, na? Bhagwan Ram only I should pray. Why I should pray to this? So what he didn't throw the idol away. He put it on the side, and then in his main altar, he put Sri Ram, and he started praying to Sri Ram. And then every day in his prayer, he would light an incense stick and put it in front of Sri Ram, for Sri Ram. And one day suddenly he noticed, wait a minute, what is happening? The fragrance that, smoke from that agarbatti is going sideways, and it is going into the nose of Hanuman. Agarbatti is not for Hanuman. I'm praying to Sri Ram. Agarbatti is only for Sri Ram. The fragrance should only go to Sri Ram, not to Hanuman. So what he did was, he took cotton swab and he stuck it into the nose of the idol of Hanumanji. And the minute he did that, Hanumanji appeared. The minute he did that, Hanumanji appeared in front of him and said, ask whatever that you want and I will give it to you. And he was totally shocked. He thought, excuse me, he said, I wasn't even praying to you. The agarbatti was not meant for you. That's why I stuck the cotton swab in your nose. He said, today, for the first time, you did not consider me as an idol. You considered me as a real person. So far, you were only praying to the idol. And now you thought, Hanuman, is the idol smelling the fragrance? It's not. But you thought I was really there. You thought, you gave me reality. The minute you give me reality, I'm real. Here I am. Now ask. That is avyabhicharani. You must think that the idol is real. We don't. That's why I have these questions. I feel very lonely at home. I have nobody to talk to. Those who have lost their husbands, those who are in my age group. And this is what I tell them. You need to talk to Bhagwan. Because when you say you're alone, when you say you're lonely, you have denied the presence of God. Because you can never be alone. Where will you be? That's why Gurudev has said he says, if I leave you, where will you be? And that I is from the highest standpoint. It's not from the ego. He says, I can never leave you. Because if I leave you, where will you be? If Bhagwan leaves us, where will he be? When are we alone? Even if we want to be alone, we can't. So acknowledge the presence, acknowledge that presence, and then you shall not feel lonely. You will be alone, but you will never feel lonely. There is a huge difference between alone and lonely. This is what this bhakti we must have. This is real bhakti. Considering Bhagwan to be real, really there in my altar, he's standing there. We don't. We think it's an idol, and then we do it. Vivikta desha sevitvam. He will, as the mind gets more and more sattvic, he will take pleasure in being in solitude. Some vivikta desha, some solitude is natural. You can go to the mountaintop, ashram, like not ashram, but a mountaintop, forest, and for meditation and all. But in your home itself, the mind alone should be able to handle itself. You know, when the mind is constantly looking for company. What will I do next? What should I? There's a to-do list, or the radio is going on, TV is going on, phone. Who shall I phone? Who shall I this? Then this Vivikta Desha Sevitvam is not fulfilled. As a spiritual seeker, we must be able to handle, we must be able to be happy being alone. Happy. Not like I'm alone now, you know, I'm bored. What should I do? It's so boring. Should I go this? Should I do that? Should I do? Mind should not be agitated when you're alone. That is the trick. We were forced to be alone now because of COVID. Was my mind at peace? Is the criteria. There was a force. See, if we were already in the position of being happy when we were isolated or alone, COVID will not affect us. I was living alone anyways. So when they said, okay, isolation, I said, yeah, I'm in isolation only from before only. And I'm very happy also in that isolation. So what does it matter whether there is COVID or no COVID? Doesn't matter. Vivikta Desha. And Arati. So Sevitvam is you enjoy being in solitude, and Arati is not to revel in the company of people. Now this we have to understand clearly. People here means extroverted people. So what happens is when I go and in a party and everybody is, you know, extroverted, because majority of the people are not on this path. Majority of the people are not on this path. So when I go for a party, then if I take, you know, additional, oh, what happened to that? Oh, then politics, now war is being discussed. Like if I take that, there should be arati in there, means talk only as much as necessary and don't engage. But if somebody else engages you, you just talk what is necessary, not like go into details. You know, this is what Putin thinks, and this is what, now this will happen, now that will happen. That is arati. Like don't, that is rati. Don't take that much interest in extroverted things. It is kshetra, it is mithya. Ultimately, it is mithya. So don't take, this is what Bhagwan is saying here, jana, people, but take rati in satsang. This doesn't apply to satsang, this arati jana, because jana, if you say, what about Mahatmas? No. In Mahatmas, you take rati. You take happiness, you be happy in the company of Mahatmas. So satsang you must do, but we are householders, so we are living in the world, so we have to sometimes come across people who are not on this path. Most of them are not on this path. Then don't get too much involved in it. This is the idea. Not that you hate the people either, huh? Not that you hate those people or you avoid those people. No, because there will be, an invitation or whatever, so that will happen. So whatever is necessary interaction you do with the people, unnecessarily don't go into too much details about external things, extroverted things. If it is a question that is asked about this thing, fine, that is fine. But that will happen only in satsang. So this is what is meant by aratihi jana samsiddhi, in the company of people. But we have to understand what kind of people Bhagavan is talking about here. Extroverted people, not satsang, not the company of Mahatmas, not the company of, books. Like you must books also in this jana, books. So not taking now I've completely given up reading anything which is not scriptural. Just the other day somebody, oh, have you read Becoming? It's like, Michelle Obama's. I said no, I have not read and I don't want to read it either. Now I've given up. I've done Tyaga, renounced. So I don't read. I only read what is Vedantic books, but other masters also, but it has to be Vedantic. So books, yesterday's in my Vivek Chunani class, one of them said, I feel restless if I don't read. I said, you must feel that restlessness. That because we are talking about peace of mind. He said, but I feel very restless. I said, no, you must feel restless. I also feel restless when I don't read. So I'll tell you what I do. I get up in the morning, I finish my reading. First, I'm prepared for my lectures, then I go do whatever I want. So avoid that restlessness you must feel. So that is not what here Bhagavan is talking about. Okay, so this has to be understood very, very clearly. Arati, one note I have here, to know, arati jana samsiddhi is to know that I can be happy without people. It is not hating people. Hate is never there. Dislike is never there. It cannot be there. Therefore, in Sthita Prajna Lakshana also we read that when how does he talk is a question. How does a Sthita Prajna talk? What does he talk? So he will not himself initiate a talk, but there could be, he may be invited to talk somewhere. May be invited to give a lecture, he may be invited to a satsang, then he will only talk of the supreme reality. He doesn't talk about other things, the Sthita Prajna. So as spiritual seekers, we must reduce our interactions with the people too much, but interactions will happen, will be there. And if they are there, not that we suddenly go and start, because then people are going to run away from us. Don't start Vedanta there talking when they're not interested, but we can control our comments, right? Our fueling that discussion, we have to be able to control. That is what arati jana samsiddhi is here. We will stop here because, the last 12 is the completion of the topic, but today we will stop here. Time is up. Is there any questions?
Yes, yes I have. So in the book, they translate Ananya Yogena as yoga of non-separation. What is it that we are separating when we are not practicing Ananya Yoga? Because you translated that as exclusive love for the Lord. But,
exactly.
But it says non-separation.
Non-separation is what? Realizing that I am the pure consciousness.
Yeah, that's what I thought, but that doesn't seem to be compatible with exclusive love. So
no, when you have exclusive love, okay. So when you have exclusive love for Bhagavan, okay, or exclusive dependence on Bhagavan only, it is through bhakti.
Yes.
right? Because there is Bhagwan, and there is nobody, there is no other support in my life without Bhagwan, other than Bhagwan.
Okay.
Ananya is exclusive. Even when we say non-self, means exclusively you are abiding in the pure consciousness through knowledge. Ananya Bhakti he has used in chapter 12. The Bhakta is, he has exclusive devotion to the Lord and Lord alone. Means the only dependence is on the Lord. That's when we give the example of Draupadi. When she did this, opened up her fingers, there was no other dependency. This was dependency on herself. She thought she could hold a sari like this. Then if we can do that, then you are absolutely not separated from the Lord.
Okay.
See? It's standpoints. What is easy for us? Non-separation is realization. That's why Ananya Yoga becomes the Jnanam, right? then it's Jnanam. But are we at that level? So at least if we can leave everything to God, that is more doable for us, right? What is more doable for us? Is that more doable? Or is it realization is, if realization is doable, please go for it. Huh? Please. I'm telling you, go. There is nothing like realizing yourself to be the supreme self. I would never tell you. But are we? That is the question. That's why I told you all this Bhagavan is calling Jnanam only. That is the reason he's calling it. This is the Tattva Jnana. If you do it from the highest standpoint, it is Tattva Jnana. Arati Jana Sausidi, you can, those people who take sannyas and go away to the Himalayas, can we do that? No, people only they see, right? They just go and they meditate, Ananya Yoga they do. You leave everything, you take sannyas, you go and sit in a forest somewhere or on a mountain top and you only think of the Lord. That is what this is. Now, can we do that?
We can keep that as an ideal.
Of course, the ideal has to be kept. Otherwise, why will I even work towards it?
Because, I mean, even Gurudev is supposed to have said, right? Aim for the stars if you want to land on the moon.
Absolutely. And he said, keep your goals so high that you never reach it also. That also he has said.
Because that inspiration to keep you, inspiration to,
you keep striving because we give up. That's why the steadfastness that we need. That's why we need breaks. Why are we needing breaks? We can't handle it. We can't handle it. So that is what it is.
And the second question I have, probably you can answer in the next class if you think that is appropriate. And that is the following. It's about Adambitvam. When I was hearing about Adambitvam, I was reminded of a shloka from a later chapter that my mom taught me maybe 45 years ago. Ashastra Vihitam Ghoram Tapyante Ye Tapojanaha Damba Ahankara Samyuktaha Kamaraga Vivarjitaha. So that talks about Damba. So I just want to see what is the correlation between Adambitvam here and the Damba Ahankara Samyuktaha Kamaraga Vivarjitaha.
18? Is it in chapter 18?
Probably. 17 or 18.
Yeah, it seems like that. I'm doing 16 right now. So basically, Kama Vivarjitam, so without desire, without pretentiousness, it's the same Adambitvam only, na? 13, 16 also this Adambitvam will come as a virtue. Because 16 he gives divine qualities. 16 is a description, chapter 16 is a description of divine Daivi, Rakshasi and Asuri Sampatti.
Right.
So in Daivi Sampatti, this Adamba comes. Not to be pretentiousness is a divine quality. It is coming from a sattvic mind. I gave you the example, Nakli Nawab. When people don't have the money, but they show as if they have, they talk as if they have. Oh, I'm traveling so much. I'll be now traveling, and you're only visiting family. So what is the definition of travel? Just sitting on a plane, is that travel? If you're going to just go visit, your family somewhere, and I'm traveling. So, what is the definition of travel? Did I give you that example with me and my girlfriend when we started working in Union Bank? I was 18, I graduated, and I just got my job. And we both used to walk, maybe I gave it in some other class. So we both used to walk in the lunch hour. And we would see all these saris and, displayed in the windows, different things, because we used to work in downtown Bombay. So in Bombay Samachar Marg, and all the shopping and all the head offices were there and everything. And then one day we were going and we looked and we both liked the sari very, very much, in the mannequin and all that. And then we looked at the price, right? And then my friend said, you know what, Jaya, I don't think that color is going to suit me. Now that is Dhamma. We could not afford the price, so that became a common joke with us. So anytime we see something and we look, and then I tell her, you know what, it doesn't look, it's not. That's why we are not buying. That is Dhamma. We were small, we were young, so we used to do that. Or yesterday I was giving the example of this also. If a movie was released on Friday and if I could not see it on Saturday, I thought my life was not worth living. But I was 18. I was 18. And
hard to believe.
I was like that. I was very fond of movies. So this Anabhishwangam or Asakti, and then one of the ladies, yesterday's class, she said, but all my life, I have not been able to afford certain things. And now I can, right? So are you telling me that I should not buy those things? Because this thing. So what I told her was, I said, no, I'm not asking you not to buy. You must not think that then she had completed my sentence. She says, I must not think that my life will be over without it. I said, exactly. That is it. If you can afford, you buy. I mean, I could afford, I bought the Tesla, right? But I don't think that I never thought, I thought Lexus was pretty good enough for me. But then Neil said, Mom, no, you go for the Tesla now. And then now people are telling me, oh, lucky you got the Tesla because of the gas prices. But that's not why I did it. But I must not think that tomorrow, if I can't afford to buy another Tesla, my life will be over. That is wrong. But if you can afford, you buy. But there's nothing wrong with it. But to think that your happiness is in that Tesla is wrong. Fact is, I'm saving money. That is a fact. Fact is not feeling. Fact is fact. But if I think that I will be unhappy without it, then that is wrong. So unhappy without people, without objects, without situations. If it is sunny only, I will be happy. I have many friends. They say, oh, it was raining. How did you go for a walk? That's the so common thing. It's amazing. I talk to them. They're like, it's raining. Are you walking? I said, yeah, I've got an umbrella. I've got a raincoat. I've got waterproof shoes. What's the problem? No. It's raining. I can't walk. Oh. So now you put the key of your walking into the pocket of the rain. If it's raining, you don't walk. That shouldn't happen for spiritual seekers.